Oh, so you've lived close
This
by.
week, we're targeting one of Florida's most iconic inshore predators, from mangroves to passes, docks to beaches, and beyond.
These hard-hitting fish, they're fired up, and our captains have the tips to help you land a line sighter. We're talking snook on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts
Now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
You're watching the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and thank you for joining us, along with our wonderful live studio audience, plus a few friendly faces from Rodan Marine and Yamaha today for my favorite of the inshore species, snook.
It certainly is. You know, and one of the things, I say this almost every year, that I love about the snook is that if you're a bass fisherman, you can take your bass tackle, and if you pursue the snook just like if you were going to pursue a bass, you're going to be in the right zone. The only difference is going to be you're going to be in salt water instead of fresh.
There you go, and you're going to get that little snook thumb too, which I love
That's
so
it.
much. All right, we've got lots of docks and lights to explore, so let's say hi to Dave Ferrell at the CCA Workbench before we set off to chase that snook bite. Dave.
How you doing?
Good.
Well, we're going to be talking about snook, so we got a lot of snook stuff up here. Rick's going to share all his favorite secrets, all his tournament-winning secrets
All his
with the
tournament-winning
world.
secrets. Say it ain't so. All right, we're starting in the Northwest region, where a well-placed live shrimp or topwater will get them fired up. So let's see where we need to go with Captain Jeff Hageman.
Hey, snook can be found throughout the lower half of my region. Cedar Key is about as north as you can go target them. We do catch a few north of that, but especially lately. But snook are one of my favorite to catch. They're very tidal, meaning they like to moving water, heavy water flow. They sit in places that are consistently having that water bring food by them. So they're an ambush predator. So you want to keep that in mind when you're targeting snook. Fish points, creek mouths, river mouths, sandbars, passes, any structure like that. Piers, jetties, docks, bridges, rock piles will all hold snook in my region. As far as baits go, shrimp, sardines, pinfish, grunts are some of the favorite for live baits. And as far as artificial goes, jigs, jerk baits, lip plugs, top water, walk the dog style lures, and sardine or mullet imitations work really good. Fly is also another great option, especially right now out on the beaches and the Swash Channel. You can target them pretty easily right now with a white clouser. Snooker also have really good eyesight, and they have gill rakers that can slice through leaders. So a good fluorocarbon leader is a must, anywhere from 25 to 40 pound. I've been using trocar circle hook lately, live bait fishing for snook, and you can get away with a little lighter leader because it seems to get them right in that button where that gill raker can't get them. So a little tip there to help you downsize your leader if you got clean water and you got to entice the snook. Also, we chum in our region. We catch a lot of sardines or whitebait in our region, and we'll actually throw some freebies out and get the fish fired up. And watching them eat a sardine on top will also give up their position, so you can cast your baits according to that. And there's nothing like catching a popping snook. Staying on inshore, Captain Jimmy Huddleston, PUD.com, reports out of Ozona Fish Camp, the redfish bite. The push has begun in St. Joseph Sound. Lower tide's been good, with gold spoons worked through the mullet schools. During the high tide, the schools of reds have been working up on the mangrove edges and feeding deep underneath the trees. So cut pinfish, cut thread fins, dead bait are the best things to get those fish that are tucked up under the trees out underneath the shadows and catch them. Look for a large population of mullet along those mangroves too to find bigger redfish. Moving up the coast a little bit, Captain Corey Palmer of Light Tackle Sport Fishing out of Tarpon Springs reports his redfish bites are staying pretty consistent right now on the falling tide. He's even using belly hook sardines and cut bait on a 2-aught trocar circle hook. Moving a little bit up the coast, Captain James Kerr out of the Plantation River on Crystal River, the Plantation Inn on Crystal River, reports the redfish bite remains strong. Right now, the summer months, despite the water temperatures being the 80s and 90s, you want to look for those fish in the shallows. Redfish right now are tight to the mangroves, getting into that shade right now because of the heat of the day. Early morning and late evening bites have been his most productive. And I got a couple of redfish photos here. One from Captain Corey Parma with a nice hand-cloaked redfish, and another one from Captain James Kerr with a Crystal River red.
All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Offshore, Captain Rob Davenport of Big Nasty out of St. Pete reports good as speckled hindbite right now. The Kitty Mitchell has been catching these beautiful grouper species in ledges and hard bottoms in anywhere from 325 to 400 feet of water, 4 to 6 feet of 100 to 130 pound fluorocarbon leader, 16 ounces of lead, 6 to 8/0 circle hook, live bait or squid has been working the best. And I got a photo of Captain Rob's recent catch with Hannah Ray holding that beautiful Kitty Mitchell.
Nice. All right, one more to go. What do you got?
Captain Rob's also been catching right now muttons mixed in with a red snapper. 170 feet of water, 180 feet of water, 60 pound fluorocarbon leader, 10 to 12 feet of it, 6/0 trocar circle hook, and 6 to 8 ounces of lead. And he's rigging that on a knocker rig style rig. And I got a photo of a beautiful mutton from Captain Rob.
Nice job this week. Thank you for starting us off there, Hag. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Discover Crystal River hotspots from the Northwest region. Jeff says inshore, the redfish bite. It is on the top of the tide. Cut baits have been the most effective, fished around the oyster bars. And then offshore, red grouper bite. It's been good in 90 to 180 feet of water over limestone and ledges. Use squid and cut sardines for bait, Brie.
Well, Rick, some of my favorite moments in the Alto Equipment East region with Captain Mike Holliday have been catching some big old snook in the inlet. And Mike, it sounds like this week is money as all those fish are pouring in.
Yeah, it pretty much is the best week of the year. This is the height of the snook congregation in all the inlets in the Alto Equipment East region. And at the same time, we've got great catch and release snook action on the beaches in places like Hope Sound Wildlife Refuge, Walton Rocks, South Beach and Fort Pierce, and the Ryomar area of Vero Beach. With all the rain we've had, don't overlook the big fish bite at the Boynton, Jupiter, C23 and C24 spillways. You'll find some really nice fish there. The snook spawn is directly related to the moon phase. With the moon right now, they move into the inlets to spawn. We're on the new moon today, so really the best time of the year. In the inlets, you can throw everything from a live threadfin or pilchard to a croaker, a sand perch, or even a live crab. On the beaches, those same baits will work, but a lot of anglers like to walk the shorelines and cast a saltwater sass and copper juice or gray ghost colored sea shad or small baitfish flies. A lot of guys fly fish them at the spillways. The big jigs are king, but a live tilapia or shiners will work well too. Average snook in my region is going to be 8 to 15 pounds, but there's some big ones. Captain Eric Davis of Vero Beach, he's been getting into the big snook on the beach just south of Fort Pierce Inlet. The photo that he has there is a fish that ate a live redfin.
Nice.
And then the other bite, the resident tarpon bite's really been on fire, particularly after dark around all the bridges in the area. The fishing's even better on the outgoing tides after a rainstorm because it makes the crabs run. And when the crabs are going and flushing out with the tide, they're all feeding on it. There's also a good daytime bite and early morning bites in all the inlets and in places like Big Mud Creek, the north and south forks of the St. Lucie River, and in the Turning Basin of Fort Pierce. We've had a great crab run at night around the bridges and in the inlets. The tarpon are just scarfing them up right now. You can also put out a live mullet, let them just swing out behind the boat. Average tarpon region is going to be 40 to 90 pounds. And I got a cool photo of Jessica Britton. She got this tarpon here on the Stewart Causeway on a live crab fishing with her husband, Captain Chris Britton of Port St. Lucie.
All right, lucky tarpon. All right, bud, let's go offshore.
Now, it's been the worst dolphin season I've ever seen. We're finally seeing a lot of sargassum weed offshore. That's helping bring a push of dolphin into the region. There's no rhyme or reason to where the fish are, no depth. The weed's been so plentiful this week, it's just scattered everywhere and difficult to troll around without picking up weed. The current's been smoking. It's around 3 or 4 knots, even up to 5 knots once you get out to like 300, 400 feet of water. So a lot of boats are finding the good weed lines in closer along the current edge or just drifting through the weedy areas just to try and keep their baits clean. A lot of the dolphin are small. Many are in singles and pairs, but I've had quite a few reports of the occasional gaffer in the mix, up to about 25 pounds. You can troll ballyhoo or feather strips or a squid just to cover water and get through the grass, or you can slow troll live threadfins or pilchards. Average dolphin right now, 5 to 10 pounds. And a photo of a trio, Tiffany, Andy, and Bristol Allen. They teamed up to catch their dolphin in 180 feet of water off of Mar-a-Lago, and that fish had a troll ballyhoo with a pink and blue skirt. The other bite we've got, this has just been a great summer of mutton snapper throughout the region. A lot of huge fish coming to the boat in the last couple of weeks. Like the snook, the muttons are spawning on the moon. This week's new moon will have the fish chewing during the daytime in places like the Jupiter Ledge, the Loran Ledge, and the 6 Mile Reef. And then as the turtles start hatching in the next couple weeks and those juvenile baits start stacking up along the beaches, those muttons are going to move in a lot closer to shore, even into like 20 or 30 feet. For bait, pretty hard to beat a live pilchard, a sardine, or a pinfish, but everything from a threadfin plug or grunt plug or ballyhoo plug to a jigging spoon is going to catch muttons right now. Average mutton snapper is 6 to 10 pounds, but fish to 15 pounds or more are common. And I've got a photo here that's pretty impressive. Captain J.J. Klarman, Stewart, he sent me this shot of 4 big mutton snapper they got. They got this fish in 90 feet of water off Jensen Beach, and those fish ate grunt plug.
All right, bub, tell me about the bass. What's happening?
Well, the water temperatures are in the low 90s on the Harris chain of lakes up in Lake County. But with the afternoon rains, the temperatures drop, and then the fish, particularly the school bass, really go on the feed. Harris chain is in their summer pattern, which means, you want to be on the water at dawn, looking for school bass bite, out in the open water. Lake Apopka and Lake Eustis both have good school bass bites in the morning. Look for diving birds or busting fish. Throw a white spinnerbait or chatterbait, or a soft jerkbait like a Bass Assassin owlwife colored split-tail shad. And then as the day heats up, move to the deeper areas of the lakes and crawl a Texas rigged June bug colored RSB worm through the vegetation, or you can tick the reeds in that deeper water with a chatterbait or big lip crankbait. After the rains, the water in the creeks and canals get moving. You can find fish around the mouths of all the canals. Small topwater plugs, spinnerbaits, and lipless crankbaits are the way to go there. Right now, it's a numbers game on the Harris chain. 15 to 30 fish a day. Average bass is going to be 1 to 2 pounds, and a good one there is probably 4 or 5 pounds.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the TH Marine hotspots from the East region. Mike says, in short, the permit on the beach and in the outflow of the St. Lucie power plant, live crabs on 40-pound fluorocarbon leader, and then offshore, sailfish, dolphin, blackfin tunas in 180 to 210 feet of water off of Jupiter Inlet, drift with live threadfinch, pilchards, or sardinis.
Man, and he is right with that dolphin bite right now on the Alto Equipment East region. We were out there this past weekend, and lots of babies, which means there's lots of room to grow, which is also very exciting. All right, get ready for Dave Ferrell, who is helping us figure out a snook thing or two for rigs and techniques at the CCA Workbench. Dave, are you ready over there with all the things?
Oh yeah. We're going to tell you a little bit about what baits to use during certain times of year. Spring, fall, it's all different.
It's all different.
Talk about that.
I'm excited about that.
And then more solid snook reports coming in statewide from our StarTron Central West region Captain Jeff Page, who has it pretty much figured out. So stay hooked, and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. ACR. Less search, more rescue. Scientific Anglers. Failure is not an option. Penn. Let the battle begin. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
Well, we're here at the CCA Workbench, time for the rigs and techniques. And Dave, snook fishing is something that we do here in Florida all year long.
We're very lucky. We're the only state that really has a population of snook that you can target. They catch a few in Texas, and an occasional one might swim up past Alabama or Mississippi, but that's, rare thing. So snook is a Florida thing more than anything.
Absolutely.
So we're talking a little bit earlier, me and you, about what to use for snook during different times of the year. Like the fellows were saying, snook are very tidal oriented, and certain times of the year they move to the inlets to spawn, and so that their eggs and stuff can get swept out into the ocean or up into the back country to let the little snook get big. So that's why we have a closed season during the summer, so we let those fish
Small,
do their thing,
exactly.
and
then
we
we
can catch them later.
protect them in the winter.
Correct. So, right now, the summertime, all the fish are up in the inlets. So, what kind of baits and stuff do you think we should be using for those?
So right now, Dave, the one thing that you need to understand is the mullet migration already came through in the spring.
Right.
So the fish now are they're not much on eating crabs, but they do love mullet. So there's always a lot of big mullet swimming around. There's still some medium-sized silver mullet swimming around. So a mullet, any shape, a mullet. But a ladyfish is also something that a lot of guys use for catching giant snook. You want to catch a 40-inch snook, guys, you put a 15 or 16-inch ladyfish at night under a bridge. You better hold on to your tennis shoes because it's going to test everything.
They will fold that thing up and get it down.
But, sometimes those baits aren't accessible. Or maybe you only get one or two, and there's other alternatives. And the alternatives are certainly something like this Berkeley Nessie. Is it Nessie?
It's a Nessie.
Nessie.
Yep.
But the
It's
cool
named
part
after the
about
Loch
the
Ness
Nessie,
Monster.
yes, it comes in a variety of different sizes. Comes in big sizes. This is the medium size. But this would imitate a ladyfish quite well. It would also imitate a mullet quite well.
Right. It's a glide bait, and it's got that power bait scent in it too. So when they grab a hold of it, they'll hang on. Hopefully.
Any paddle tail baits, Bass Assassin makes them. We also have the 4-inch jerk baits with different colors and shapes and sizes. Certainly the gulps come in 4 or 5 different shapes and sizes. So paddle tail baits, it's going to mimic that. If you want, also, Dave, in a few weeks, it's going to get hard to find the bigger baits because it gets really hot. But the pilchard and the pinfish and even the thread fins from offshore, you can bring your thread fins in and fish in the inlets. So you could throw a pilchard imitation hard bait like this Savage. If you can't find the pilchards, you're going to use a circle hook if you're live bait fishing. But I always carry artificials that mimic what the fish are feeding on during the time of year. So I've got a plain old box full of pilchard shapes, mullet shapes, these little cutters. We also, a great time of year right now, all the fellas are talking about fishing
top
waters against the seawalls because a seawall is a containment center. It's like the median strip of I-95.
It's a highway. They don't want to go down the middle. They want to get out closer to the edge. They think they're getting out of the way, but they're not. That's because that's where the snook's waiting on them.
You're 100% correct.
And that's a great. There's a lot of cool things about fishing, but there's not much better than a snook eating a topwater bait, in my opinion.
No, that's a very spot on opinion. Dave, the other thing that's going to happen here, mid-September through early November, you're going to have another mullet migration, both on the East Coast and the West Coast.
Right,
guys. Don't waste your time. Make sure you match the hatch. Don't try to catch a snook on a shrimp when the mullets are swimming by.
Right. And the wintertime is when we get a lot of shrimp coming through as well.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. Once those mullet have come through the system and the water starts getting cold, the snook get a little lethargic. So that's when you want to slow your fishing down. You can use a variety of different artificial shrimps. There's the gulp shrimps. You got certainly the Savage shrimp, which you can use for sight fishing applications. When they're on the potholes, exactly, around the dock lights. Great advice. But there's certainly live shrimp on a jig head under a popping cork is very effective, not just for catching a snook, but it's also effective for catching a variety of other things like, a redfish or a trout or whatever it may be.
Right.
Dave, the rod that I'm going to use is going to be the Fenwick medium heavy. This particular one is a 7.6. If I'm casting long distances, I may use an 8-footer. If I'm having to sight fish and it has to be real precise, I'll go to a 7-footer. But this Fenwick world-class medium fast or medium heavy is going to work really well.
Penn Battle 4000.
Perfect. We lined it with the Berkeley Chrome.
We put 30 on
30
there.
pound.
That's going to catch every snook that you hook. You should. And I got like a 40-pound Prospect fluorocarbon leader with your circle hook.
How did you tie that on, Dave?
Oh, the F&G knot.
The F&G knot.
You can't beat it.
All right, man. I
Man,
think I'm about out of breath.
Love myself a good F&G knot,
Yes.
courtesy of Dave a couple of years ago. I love tying that knot. All right, we're catching snook to our heart's desire of all sizes all year long in the Star-Trun Central West region. But let's find out where the big uns are at with Captain Jeff Page. Hi, Paige.
Well, it's funny how you asked about the big uns because this time of year, probably late May, right through November, like Rick was talking about that mullet run, probably late May through November, our biggest fish are taken with probably the biggest of the big right now in the June, July, and even into early August, big, strong, full, and new moon weeks, which are every other week. And the one place that's in common, they'll be in the inlets, they'll be out along the beaches, or they might be around bridges in our inlets. And that's all Gulf of Mexico water, which is a little bit cooler than the bay water. Can be from, instead of being 90 or 88 in the bay, it could be 86, 85, which, as you know, Rick, a few degrees makes a big difference when fish want to turn on or not. Now, that being said, the mullet run, we don't have a mullet run like they do on the East Coast, but we do have a fall mullet migration where the fish get together and spawn and go out into the Gulf and come back in, and a lot of our fish will work with that. I won't say they'll go up and down the beaches following them like they do in Hollywood's region, but they will work with that. Now, some of the baits that we'll use is we like using pilchards. I heard you mention that, grunts, pinfish, and the cool thing about thread fins, you mentioned bringing those in from offshore. If you sabiki your threads versus cast netting them, they will live a lot longer in your live well. So that being said, sabiki threads live longer for nighttime fishing, live ladyfish, silver mullet, or baits that mimic those, Rick, like you said. And then, of course, in the wintertime, which we have done on Sportsman's Adventures, some of our biggest snook will go up into residential canals and up the rivers and creeks in all our areas. And that time of year, it's good to use a Berkeley Turbo Gulp shrimp or the Mirror Lure Little John, and I like both of those in the pearl white or the molting pattern. My photo tonight is of Captain Will Osborne and his friend Kyle Domian with one of their winning snook in the Sarasota Slam this past weekend.
Wow.
Staying inshore. Yeah, man, that was over 40. I'm not sure if he was 42, but he was over 40. Staying inshore, redfish are beginning to show up. I wouldn't say it's on fire, but they've been showing up, and they've been up on these big high tides. We had a 3-foot high tide this week, and so we've got some really big water. Fish are getting way up under the bushes, and it's a good time of year to break out the umbrella and skip a couple ladyfish chunks up under the bushes and just put your rod in the rod holder. And you can do it with the gulp as well. They call that dead sticking, and it works. So places you can do that: Sarasota Bay, Lemon Bay, Terracea Bay, Palmasola Bay. About anywhere there's good mangroves with white sand undercuts on them, you're going to be able to work the bushes for the redfish under the mangroves. I got a fit photo tonight with Happy Young Angler with a nice red he caught with Captain Griffin Deans out of the Manatee River, rolling offshore red snapper. Another couple weeks of red snapper season available, and these calm mornings, Rick, have been allowing guys to get out to that 150 feet on out, no problem. Guys have been even getting their limit of red snappers in bay boats this season. It's been so good weather, especially in the morning. Standard bottom rigs, 40-pound fluorocarbon leader, and a 4 to 6.0 Trocor circle hook over hard bottom areas. Live bait, cut bait. I believe once you find those red snappers, they're eaten. My photo tonight is Captain Josh Prunier and his longtime friend Rob Emery with a nice red snapper. And my last species tonight is deep drop fishing, because I just saw Captain Tim Noe at the boat ramp the other day, and he told me they've been starting out in 450 feet, scoring on yellow edge and Kitty Mitchell groupers, scamp groupers, tilefish, and even some red snapper. And then from there, he's been moving out a little bit deeper, about 5 to 650. Been getting queen snapper and vermilion. And most of the fish, Rick, have all been on cut bait and dead bait. The best had been the frozen squid. That's been his best bait. My photo tonight is of a 42-pound Kitty Mitchell that they got on a deep drop jig, and that's Hannah Ray, that's Tim No, and Captain Derek Engel.
Yeah, man, we saw that in Hagerman's report. She's making all kinds of debut here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Why shouldn't
what the hell?
It's a great fish.
All right, Kate, thank you so much, Captain Page. We're going to go ahead and look at the Daiquiri Deck Central West region. He says inshore snook fish the inlets from Big Pass North to Egmont Pass on the afternoon and evening. Outgoing tides with the free line grunt, pinfish, and ladyfish for those big monster snooks. Then offshore, mangrove snappers are holding on the hard bottom ledges in 90 to 150 feet of water. Live pinfish is the best bait, but cut bait is working as well. The key has been light leader and no bigger than a 3-0 trocar circle hook, Brie.
All right, Rick. Well, you're going to catch a snook this summer, be a CCA member, and entered in the Star competition presented by Yamaha. And you might just win a custom canoe, Humminbird Electronics, Minn Kota trolling motor with a pair of Yamaha motors, a pair of power poles, and so much more. You can also win other great boat motor and trailer packages from Carolina Skiff, Seabourn, Spider, and Microdraft Skiff by catching one of the Star tagged redfish between Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day. Just a little hint on where to find a tagged redfish. Punta Gorda, Inglewood Beach in Charlotte County, and Citrus County are great places to hunt for a tagged redfish, as they have 8 tagged redfish in their coastal waters. So make sure you get registered today at ccaflstar.com. That was just a little hint.
Just a little hint.
Just a tiny little bitty one.
Come on, man. There's 8 of them swimming.
8 of them, and you can wear all those
in each one of those counties.
Go do it. All right, the Casa Vieja Southeast region is getting ready for our Snook Showdown, and we're chatting with our friend from Yamaha, then getting ready for some subtle bites and strong fights in the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region with Captain Ronnie Houston. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, Your Fish, Our Science, Bahio, blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Guy Harvey, every purchase helps support the health of our oceans and marine life. Penn, let the battle begin. Kubota, together we do more. And Heroes on the Water, paddle, fish, heal.
Well, as you can see, joining me is Troy Burton from Yamaha. You know, Troy, welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. And you know what? Yamaha developed this beautiful 350 behind me, and it has taken the world by storm. So why don't you tell us what's going on with it?
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Happy to be here. You know, we designed this F350 be an offshore powerhouse for any application that you're going after. If you have that bay boat, you're looking to go up shallow with that bay, any fishing applications up there, you can. At 629 pounds, this is the lightest engine in its class. So if you're looking to repower, if you have that 300, looking to repower to a 350, it's perfect for that.
So let's talk a little bit about that. The 300, a lot of the guys may be considering getting a new, new motor.
Yep.
So they're going to repower.
Yep.
The 4.3 liter 350 is really going to get the job done. There's not much weight difference between it and the 300. Yep. But let's talk a little bit about the shaft links. Does it come with digital steering like we got from the 425?
It does. So your first question, we have 3 different shaft links. We have a 25, a 30, and a 35.
Right.
You also have that digital electronic steering, which kind of helps with that improvement, that smooth improvement of that steering. And it helps back in that bilge area. It keeps it clean back there. You don't have the pumps. You don't have the hydraulic lines back there. So it's a good application for that.
Let's talk a little bit about that lower unit. 425, 450, similar. I can tell that it has low water pickups in 2 different places on the low water pickup. So it helps in a jack plate application, agreed?
Yes, absolutely. There's a number of different applications or different features that we brought down from the 450 XTO to this engine. So it's super, there's a ton of features from that 450.
All right, so what about the warranty? What does it come standard with?
It comes with a 3-year limited warranty, but you can also buy an extended warranty after that point.
All right, sounds awesome. So where do we go if we're interested in a repower question? Where do we go to find out more information?
You can go to YamahaOutboards.com to learn more about that engine, and you can also visit your local dealer to learn more.
Sounds like a great idea. If you're thinking about getting a new bay boat, guys, why don't you upgrade, go to a little bit more horsepower, and economically, you can pull the throttle back. Great job tonight, Troy.
Thanks,
you know what, Brie? We got to keep rolling down the list of captains to get to.
Yes, we do. All right, the opportunities to catch a Costa Vieja Lodge Southeast Region Snook are endless, boat or no boat, daytime, nighttime, you name it. So let's get Captain Jimbo Thomas on the line to find out some details. Hello, Jimbo.
Hello, Brie and Rick and everybody else in the studio there. So, yep, snook, they're one of the most popular inshore species in the Southeast region. They're found in just about any body of water, and there are probably as many caught by shore as by boat, or from shore as by boat. All the lip bridges and docks of the ICW, those are all great places to look for snook, as well as any of the inlets, creeks, mangrove shorelines, off the beaches, and also in a lot of the freshwater lakes and canals. Popular baits are live shrimp, live mullet, pinfish, pilchards, croakers, bucktail jigs, soft plastics, swimming plugs, and jerk baits, among many other baits that are going to work for them. Basic snook tackles, medium to heavy, can, spin, or plug casting outfits with anywhere from 8 to 30 pound braid or monofilament line, depending on where you're fishing. You want to use 30 to 50 pound fluoro or mono leaders. And when you're using light bait, a circle hook's recommended, since a lot of these fish are going to be released. Lately, all the inlets have been snook fishing hotspots. You want to fish live baits on a Jupiter rig or a live bait on a 1/2 to 3/4 ounce, a Jupiter rig with a live bait, or a 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce jig head, or bouncing flare hawk jigs along the bottom, mostly in the evenings on any tide, just so long as that water is moving. Got a photo here. This is Caleb Cabrera with a nice snook that he and his father caught off Miami Beach just before the season closed. Now, staying inshore, with this hot, rainy weather that we've been experiencing, it's got the peacock bass fired up. Peacocks are being found in all the local lakes and canals of Dade and South Broward counties. They're biting small live minnows and shiners, jerk baits in chartreuse colors, 1/4 ounce jigs and soft plastics in dark colors. And if you're looking to catch one on fly tackle, try using a small Clauser minnow fly in red and white or green and white. You want to look for these peacocks to bite best in the middle of the day in areas of clear water with current, around the mouths of the spillways, bridge columns, and any other structures. Now, moving offshore, the dolphin fishing has been very hit or miss. We've been heading offshore anywhere from 5 to 20 miles. If you're lucky enough to find some good floating debris, it's most likely going to be a good hit. Otherwise, there's been scattered sargassum weed with some bird activity over the schoolies. They've been getting a little bigger, but we've still been having to release a lot of short ones. Now, typically, if the fish are traveling to the south, they're going to be a little bigger than those schools going to the north. For some reason, the small ones go to the north. Trolled ballyhoo, small lures, and feathers have taken a few of the nicer fish. And I like to keep a 6 20-pound spinners rigged with 50-pound leaders and 5/0 hooks with live or cut bait ready to cast once we do locate those fish. Now, right now is also a great time to get out and look for yellowtail snapper, especially in the evenings when it's not 150 degrees out. You want to look for good bottom in 40 to 80 feet of water, get anchored up, and start chumming with ground chum and glass minnows. More chum, the better. We like to have a light current to help get that chum slit going. If there's no current, your chum's just going to go straight down. A light spinning outfit with 12 to 15-pound test and a 2/0 hook tied straight to the main line is what's going to work best. You want to free line small strips of squid, ballyhoo, or bonita back in the chum until you get a bite. The longer you sit there chumming, the closer those fish are going to get to the boat. If they're staying down a little deep, a small jig baited with a strip of bait and also drifted back in the chum. That'll get the bites if they're staying down deep. And the tails have been averaging anywhere from 2 to 4 pounds, and there's also been some mangrove snappers mixed in. Got another photo here. This is a big yellowtail caught by Luke Ryan in the daytime aboard the party boat Reward out of Miami.
That Reward sure introduces a lot of kids to fishing. I'm really impressed with those guys. Thank you so much, Jimbo. We're going to go and take a look at the ACR hotspots from the Southeast region. Jimbo says that inshore, look for the peacock and largemouth bass in any of the urban lakes and canals throughout the region. And then offshore, get anchored up on the reef at sundown with plenty of chum and some yellowtail action's gonna happen.
But
Can you
not-
imagine being anchored on the reef at sundown with a little drinky in this hand and a rod in this hand?
Sounds perfect.
Come on now.
Except not when it's 150 degrees out.
That's why you do it in the evening.
I know, it's
in the
98,
evening.
but it feels like 110. Love that for us. Okay, the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region is riddled with my inshore obsession. So let's find out when the best time to hit the water is with Captain Ronnie Houston. Go for it, Ronnie.
Well, like always, guys, it's a pleasure representing the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region. You know, snook's my favorite, and they can be caught year-round, both day and night. Now, really, my favorite time of the year is going to start around early spring and through late fall, depending upon how cool the water starts getting. That's going to include intercoastal docks and seawalls, bridge spans, beaches, and mangrove shorelines, whether you're in a boat or you're walking the shoreline. A current really is going to dictate the aggressiveness of the bite, but rainy season like we're having now can change and opens a variety of options. Now, currently you can fish more brackish areas due to the freshwater flow, like areas up in the Peace River and the Caloosahatchee River, the backcountry areas, and wherever you see leading towards the Gulf. Now, live bait's going to include pinfish, herring, pilchards, finger mullet, and cut baits, but artificials include Berkeley jaywalkers. The Berkeley stunner is more up and towards the backcountry waters. Jukes will be both fresh and on the outside saltwater. Sport pigs will work in both ways, but also the bass assassin vapor shads and dye dappers are really all a part of my arsenal and what I carry on the boat all the time, switch around. And I got a nice picture this week of a nice oversized snook, and that snook was caught on a Berkeley war pig.
There it was. I know that game, don't I? Midnight.
Yeah, you were with me.
Yeah.
Anyways, on the inshore side, the redfish. You know, in the southern end of the region, we're going to concentrate right now from Key all the way down to the Everglades. Now, mid-tides on the both sides of the high, before and after. The fish are in the bushes on the outer Gulf side. Now, or you want to look for oyster bottom, oyster bars, deadwood, blowdowns, and especially all those areas, especially if there's Roman mullet. Now, the flood tide, you know, things can get a little bit tough. Baits you want to be using, though, right now are live pinfish and pilchards. With the heat of the day, cut bait, knocker rig for those redfish. But on your lower water, those Berkeley J waters out in front of the mangrove shoreline, Berkeley gulps on 1/8 ounce to 1/4 ounce jig heads, as well as the Bass Assassin foreign sea shad, new penny with a chartreuse head jig head in those areas where the fresh waters changed the color of the water. And I've got a picture this week of Captain Derek Dappin down in the Everglades with a nice slot-sized redfish.
Nice. All right, let's go offshore.
Side, we're going to talk about the permit. Now, right now, some big permit are being caught presently right now from Marco Island, actually all the way up to Stump Pass. They're getting great reports right now from on-a-mission fishing out of Naples. Now, you want to concentrate on wrecks, towers, artificial reefs, and with the rain we have, the fish seem to be aggressive in chewing. Live crabs still seem to be the best, but if you come across some schools, they seem to be aggressive. You don't have crabs. They are eating bright-colored jigs or live shrimp if you have any. Now, you can fish out to about 20 miles, but I'm hearing during the week with not a lot of pressure and early rain in the morning and not a lot of sun, fish are up as close to 7 miles. And I got a picture of a nice big permit caught this week while fishing with on-a-mission fishing out of Naples. Last species is going to be the red snappers. Now, the reports remain strong according to Captain Davis Olson. Depths right now are 180 to 230 feet, although at times the fish just don't seem to be aggressive. Now, if you're marking fish and they're not biting, guys, you're going to have to alternate. You can't be always using your favorite bait, and you want to be using cut baits. And you also want to be having live pinfish, herring, or cigar minnows. Have a variety. Surprisingly, some of the catches have been better on slow pitch jigs than they have on live bait and cut baits. So they've been working well. But when you head out, like I say, having a variety of baits is going to really help you out. Some days you're going to work for it. When you alternate the baits, I'm telling you, the fish are going to key in on a certain bait. That's where you're going to drop down, and it'll be more aggressive instead of that slow bite. And I got a nice picture of a red snapper caught in the last week while fishing with Captain Davis Olson. Weather's looking good for the weekend. We're going to get back to these easterly winds. Just watch the storms, get out, get you some fish.
All right, Ronnie, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Southwest hotspots from the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region inshore, tarpon, beaches, and passes throughout the region, and bridge spans at night along the shadow lines. And then offshore, mangroves, yellowtails, and vermilion snappers, 140 to 175 feet of water, fishing ledges or hard bottom, chum, and then use some cut bait. That'll catch them snaps.
Chum them up. All right, as we know, summer's fading fast, but the savings are still blazing hot. It's the final days of the Skeeter Blazing Hot Summer Savings Sales Event, and until September 5th, you can save big with up to $5,000 in rebates on select models. Get the Skeeter boat you've always been dreaming of across the popular bass, saltwater, and deep V lines. So visit your authorized Skeeter dealer today or go to skeeterboats.com for more details.
You mean we can get $5,000 off of this one we're sitting on?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, we're just getting back from ICAST, as you know, Rick, which means Taka Marine new products at the CCA Workbench is going to be popping. Dave, any good finds over there?
Yes, we got Eric's coming in here to talk to us about the brand new Rodan, and we got some boat outfitter stuff and some Scientific Anglers fly lines.
Oh, dang, Rodan. There you go. And then Captain Ridge Murphy is telling us where the snook are popping in the Black Oak LEDs Keys region. So get ready to reel, and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. And Black Oak LED, never be left in the dark.
Well, as you can see, we're trolling the edge with Taco Marine here at the CCA Workbench. And speaking about trolling, I brought in my man Eric Steele from Rodan Marine. We got the best trolling motor money can buy. We introduced the new Generation 5 Rodan in December. Let's tell everybody about it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me out, Rick. One thing we take a lot of pride in at Rodan is the fact that 90% of this new motor is built with U.S. content. Majority of that content is built under one roof in Sarasota, Florida at our facility. It's backed with a 3-year warranty, which is top of the industry, and we're excited about it.
So let's talk a little bit about the shaft links that it comes in.
Absolutely. So we started a 48-inch shaft, and we go all the way up to a 120-inch shaft, which will basically suit a boat from a small skiff fishing the Everglades all the way up to a boat in the 50-foot range, which will be fishing offshore. And we've even got guys running dual engines on the boats up to 30,000 pounds now.
So how does that work with the duals?
So we can go into the Rodan app, and we can actually select a primary motor and a secondary motor. And at that point, the primary motor will take priority, and the secondary motor will work off of that GPS and take the commands that you're giving it to be more efficient.
All with one fob?
One fob. You can do it from an MFD, you can do it from your app, or right here at the base of the motor.
So we're talking 24 and 36 volt. What colors does it come in, Eric?
We've got white and black. There's no difference there. Both saltwater rated and can fish on any boat.
All right, man. I think this is awesome. I've got to ask you one more question, if we have any questions about that. Let's talk a little bit about the warranty.
Yep, so warranty is 3 years. You can deal with us directly at rodanmarine.com and deal with us at our facility, or you can visit one of our local service centers if that'll get you back up on the water sooner.
Dude, I'm really excited about the new Gen 5 Rodan, but
one more thing. Yep, so the standard puck that comes with the motor comes with 10 inches of slide front to back, and that'll come standard with every Gen 5 motor. And then we've also got the pivoting bracket, which also gives you the 10 inches of slide and a locking feature. So that'll make mounting applications easier and deploying and stowing the motor when you're out on the water a little simpler.
See how much experience Dave has? He knew we were gonna forget that. Thank you so much,
sir.
bud.
Thank you.
Dave, Boat Outfitters.
Yes. You know, Boat Outfitters is a really cool company. They can do just about anything. They make a lot of OEM parts for most of the boats that are out there. So all the hatches and the lids and the hinges,
and the gas shocks,
all that stuff, they make it in-house there, or they stock it. So if you call them up and say, you know, hey, I need a hinge for this bayliner or something, they've probably got it. And if they don't have it, they can make it. That's what's so great about Boat Outfitters. You called them up, said you needed a thing to go under the hatch of your new
They had
skiff.
this in an 8 tray application.
Right.
I went to put it in my new Chitum.
Right.
And it was this much too long because the opening of the Chitum is smaller than the actual compartment.
Right.
I called them back and I said, and I bought it. And I called them back. I said, guys, can you cut it in half for me? Because I want it to be 2 of these together.
Right.
And I can't get it in the hatch. They said, no, we're not gonna cut anything. We're just gonna custom build you. So I have 2 of these. They fit perfect. They go right in the opening. I can have all my boxes. What's great about this, Dave, is I have a son from time to time that uses my stuff.
Yeah.
So I take my boxes out. He can put his boxes in, and we're not fighting at the end of the day how he has themed
I'm not
all
sure about
my
that.
jaywalkers and all my Basses out.
What's really cool about this, it's made out of, they make most of their stuff out of starboard,
Yes, sir.
starboard. They cut this out for you to just eliminate a little bit of the weight. It's still just as strong. And that's what's really great about Boat Outfitters is that if you come to them with a problem, say, hey, I need to have this made, they will make it for you. So go to boatoutfitters.com.
It is
and
fly
get all
fishing.
your stuff.
It is a fly fishing season, and Scientific Anglers has a fly line cleaner.
Right. It's very important to keep your fly line clean. Fly line isn't very cheap. It's expensive. So, if you keep it clean, when you get a lot of dirt on your fly line, it'll make it sink.
Right.
So you need to keep it clean, and these are specially designed, these little pads to you put some of that cleaner on it, you run it all the way down through there, and once you get it real nice and clean, you can put this dressing on there as well, the Revive, and it pretty much takes an old fly line and makes it new again.
Right.
And that Alive stuff there, that the Revive fly stuff, it is actually biodegradable. Once it goes on, it won't dissolve again. And it's really great.
So if we have a fly line question, where do we go, Dave?
Scientificanglers.com.
There you have it, Brie. We're fly fishing. We're building boats. We're trolling motors and shorelines.
We're doing all
We got
sorts
it
of
all
things
done.
over here. Good job, gentlemen. All right, summer is the perfect time for some Yamaha Repower finance offers. So from now until September 30th, 2025, purchase a new eligible Yamaha outboard to get rates as low as 6.99% APR for 72 months when financed through Yamaha. For purchases made on the Yamaha credit card, get intro rates as low as 2.99% for 36 months, then 15.99% to 23.99% thereafter. Visit YamahaOutboards.com for complete details. Speaking of your son, Captain Ridge Murphy is breaking down the snook bite in the Black Oak LED Keys region step by step, so get ready to take some notes. Go for it, Ridge.
Personally, snooks are one of my favorites here in the Black Oak LED region. They're very diverse fish that can be targeted in many different applications. You can target snooks as simple as a chunk mullet on the bottom with a 3 ounces of lead and a 60-pound fluorocarbon leader with a 6/0 Eagle Claw circle hook, or you can get super technical and chase belly-crawling fish in the mud sight fishing with 10-pound spinners with 20-pound fluorocarbon leader with weedless bass assassins or any Berkeley hard bait. The most common way to catch snooks in my region is with live bait. Shrimp or pilchards on a jig head in the moats and around the islands. You want to look for runoffs such as mangrove shoots or finger channels coming off the flats. And keep in mind that snooks are also fans of structure, current, and contour changes. Snooks can be targeted not only during the daytime, but they also feed very well into the night. And some guys will even fish from land all throughout the Keys off the edges of the bridges, throwing heavy flare hawks or big paddle tails that R&R has to offer. I have a photo of a nice, healthy backcountry snook that we caught on a Twitch Reaper Savage Plug. It's a nice big one.
That is a good one. What else you catching, Ridge?
Now, the summertime red fishing is in full effect. I spoke to Captain Wiley Berg, and he's seeing lots of redfish all over Florida Bay. Pull the shallow edges of the flats and the mid-tides looking for waking, tailing, mudding, and schooling fish. Redfish are a fun way to practice sight fishing. The one thing you want to keep in mind when you are sight fishing is to have a good angle going away from the fish. A perfect rod and reel combo is a Fenwick HMG or world-class medium-fast 7-foot 6-inch blank with a Penn 4000 size spinning reel. You want to use 8 to 10 pound Berkeley 9X braided line with 20 to 30 pound fluorocarbon leaders, and you're going to throw Bass Assassin sea shads and bone or the new color Flamingo Flash rigged weedless on an Eagle Claw weedless hook. Make sure to get these redfish back in the water and take your time reviving them because the sharks are pretty bad. And I have a photo of my buddy Che with a beautiful Florida Bay redfish that was caught with Captain Wiley Berg.
All right, let's go offshore, Pop.
I spoke to Captain Pablo Rodriguez down in the Middle Keys, and he says the yellowtails and the mangrove snappers are in 90 to 130 feet of water. You're going to anchor or spot lock with your Rodan trolling motor and chum a mixture of oats, sand, and chum. You want to take your time using 2 rods at a time, using cut baits like squids or little strips of bonitas, and small shrimps or pilchards will work also. Use light spinning rods with 10 to 15 pound mono line with a small eagle claw live bait hook and 1/0 or even small yellowtail jigs. Remember that the yellowtails and all the snappers are an aggregate limit of 10 per person, so take a peek at the regulations before you head out on the water. And I have a photo of young Pablo with a nice fat mangrove snapper that was caught while they were yellowtailing.
What else you got offshore, Bub?
We still have a mixed bag of pelagic similar to last week. There's mahis around from 450 to 1,100 feet of water. You want to look for birds, debris in the water, and scattered weed lines. You're going to use live baits to keep these mahis interested. And also, there's some tunas on the hump, so you're going to chum heavy pilchards and free line baits out behind the boats. But with the mixed bag of mahis and tunas that we're seeing last week's theme species, the blue marlin have been being seen all throughout the Keys from Key Largo to Key West. Several fish have been caught, and if there was ever a time to take a big fish rod on a boat ride, now's the time. 50 wide Penn International with 300 to 400 pound leader with a big 10-0 Eagle Claw circle hook, and have a smaller legal mahi or a tuna on standby as a pitch bait for when you guys do have these big blue marlin show up. You can pitch to them and be ready. I have a photo of a blue marlin that was caught on Slam Time Charters out of Marathon by Captain Pablo Rodriguez, and he did exactly that. You know, they were ready and they were prepared, and they pitched a mahi to him, and he ended up catching them.
So cool to
Nice,
see Pablo 1 and Pablo 2 doing the Pablo thing. You know what?
Man, that's father-son combo.
That's it, man. All right, thank you so much, son. We're gonna talk to you about the Scientific Angler, Florida Keys, Hotspots. My man Ridge says, inshore, look up on the flats, and in the potholes use bass, sass, and paddle tails, gold spoons, gulps on a jig head, or you can simply simplify it and cast shrimp up against the mangroves in the moats. And then offshore, yellowtails in 90 to 130 feet of water, chum heavy and free line baits with little resistance on the yellowtail jig with small chunks of cut bait or even maybe a piece of gulp.
Ooh, yummy. All right, well, we're staying in the Black Oak LED Keys region, and we're going to take a look at some tournaments going on in the Florida Keys. Let's do that, Rick, all right?
Do it.
First, we're going to honor the memory of Herman Lucerne, known as Mr. Everglades, while fishing in the Herman Lucerne Memorial Backcountry Championship within the boundaries of Everglades National Park from September 19th through the 21st. Tournament activities are based at the Islander Resort in Isla Mirada. Next, teams fish around the clock in Key Largo from Friday night, September 26th through Sunday afternoon, September 28th to win coveted trophies for trout, snook, and redfish in the Take Stock in Children Backcountry Tournament. Then, ladies gather in Isla Mirada October 17th and learn fishing skills October 18th during the Ladies Let's Go Fishing University, followed by the Fishing Fever Tournament on October 20th. And finally, the Inshore Fishing Association Backcountry Tournament comes to Isla Mirada October 18th for a one-day contest with scores tallied on the eTournament fishing app for the largest catches of trout, redfish, and snook in team, kayak, and kids divisions. For more information on Keys tournaments, make sure you go to flakeys.com. But you know what? Coming up, the Northeast region is letting us in on some snook secrets, and then Captain Jim Ross in the Central East region is getting you set up for the weekend. And remember, if you're hooked on fishing in Florida, don't miss a thing and swing by our website. Like us on Facebook, re-listen on X and Instagram, and cast on over to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, for fresh fishing, adventures, reports, and more. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Startron. Start, run, and store with Startron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, conserving Florida's fisheries since 1985. Frontrunner Boatworks, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. The Florida Keys and Key West, come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Well, Rick, While you were out filming a Sportsman Adventures a few weeks ago, the RM Media crew and I played a little hooky and did some filming ourselves aboard the Thomas Flyer in the Casa Vieja Southeast region. Here's what you missed.
Let me see.
Let's look.
Hey, first dolphin, Junior? I think, yeah. You think? You don't know? Right there. Good tag. Woo! That is a good freaking fish! Tell Ricky Dinky that I'm bringing home snappers.
That's just a little bitty bit. It's gonna be on our YouTube channel, the entire fishing trip, but we caught mutton, sailfish, kingfish. We caught so many species. It was such a fun day. It was a little rough, but we got it done. And
operations
See,
manager.
look, there it is.
The operations manager,
hold on.
Donna, caught her first sailfish. Are you
she
kidding?
did. That was such a good time. Congratulations to Donna.
Congratulations,
She deserves
Donna.
it. She really is the MVP of everything we do here at RM Media, so she's definitely deserved that sailfish. She didn't jump in the ocean, but
So you gave my partner the invoice for all this fun?
yes, of course.
That little cute little brunette in the show.
Oh yeah, she's so cute.
She wrote the
Wife,
pass,
Kathy.
the doctor's note. I got it.
All right, well, there's some good news for all of you snookers in the Northeast region. So let's hear the tea with Captain Tommy. Hi, Tommy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? What's up, audience? I've said in previous seasons that the Northeast region really isn't well known for snook fishing, but you know what? That's changed over the past few years. Anglers are now catching quite a few snook, and some good ones at that, some good size ones. Now, this is a great time of year to target those snook. The water's nice and warm, the mullet are around in good numbers, and the snook are feeding both early and late in the day. Now, the better numbers of snook are from Palm Coast down to Daytona, and I've had some great snook reports coming in from the Flagler Beach and Tomoka areas as well. Captain Caleb Blackburn, he tells me that the snook are up shallow right now. They're chasing the shrimp and those small mullet in the creeks and in the canals. Now, Caleb said he likes to toss a topwater plug when he's got those low light conditions, like early and late in the day. Then he'll switch over to a saltwater assassin, sea shad, or jerkbait. He likes the pearl color during the day when that sun's a little bit higher. Now, Caleb also said fishing around the schools of finger mullet, that's key right now. Those snook are sitting under and around those guys, busting them. Now, the nighttime snook fishing has also been great from Palm Coast all the way down to Ponce Inlet. You want to target the lighted docks and the bridges. You need that tide to be moving, and you're using either a diving plug or a live shrimp or mullet or a pinfish. Now, there's a lot of smaller snook under the lights, but there's some bruisers in there as well, especially around some of those bigger bridges. Now, there's also a good snook population, believe it or not, in Jacksonville and even in St. Augustine. Some of those larger or longer creeks, especially the ones that have brackish water, those snook seem to like. Some creeks like Pablo Creek, San Sebastian, Pellicer Creek, those are all going to hold some snook right now. And as we get into the mullet run later this summer and into the fall, we can expect to find some good snook at all the area inlets as well. And speaking of good snook, I've got a photo here. Captain Caleb Blackburn, he sent me this picture of his client Ken with a nice Northeast Florida snook that he caught on a saltwater assassin jerkbait in that pearl color.
Nice. All right, what else you got?
Yeah, man, the redfish bite, man, it has been so good. It continues to be strong throughout the region. In fact, just about every captain I talked to this week, they gave me a great report. There's still a ton, and I mean an absolute ton of small shrimp in the creeks and the flats, and those redfish are going bonkers. They're chasing and busting those shrimp everywhere. It's really fun to watch them. If you get out super early this weekend, you're going to catch some of that low tide. You're going to see those reds up in that super shallow stuff chasing those shrimp. Now, the backs of the creeks in St. Augustine, they have been loaded up with slot redfish and some overslots as well on that low tide. Now, we've been catching them, my clients and I, on the Saltwater Assassin Elite Shiner paddle tail, especially in the Mama's 14K color. We have been catching a few on live shrimp as well, but that paddle tail, man, it's been the ticket because you can just get it in the right position. You can make a longer cast, and we're just getting way more bites on that. And man, just get out there and chase some of those redfish this weekend. It's been a lot of fun. Now, moving offshore, I spoke to Captain Evan Sanders from Soul Fishing. He tells me, we've had this thermocline that's been happening. So he's been targeting some amberjacks this week from Ponce Inlet north to Ormond Beach. Evan said he's fishing the wrecks in about 60 to 90 feet of water. He's been setting up a slow drift over those wrecks. He's using a variety of different jigs and live baits. Now, Evan said you better lock the drag down. There's a bunch of barracudas that are going to eat your fish, but also that's going to help you get the fish away from getting into the structure and getting it broken off. And I've got another picture here. Captain Evan, he sent me this picture of Wayne Elliott and his nephew Peyton with a nice amberjack they caught east of Ormond Beach. And then finally, guys, the kingfish bite. It's been a little hit or miss over the past couple of weeks with that thermocline, that dang thermocline happening throughout most of the region. But I did speak to my good buddy Nate Stewart. He's the man when it comes to catching some big old kingfish, and he told me there are some kingfish near the beach, the very north end of the region right now, up near Fernandina. But Nate also said that really most of the bigger fish have been coming from the deeper stuff in that 21 fathom area, kind of throughout the entire region. Seems like that thermocline has them pushed out into a little bit deeper water, although it does seem like water has been warming up a little bit this week. We'll hope it keeps going that way. And I got one last picture here. This is Nathan Stewart, the man himself, with Chris Cathy and a stud 45-pound kingfish that landed them in second place in last weekend's Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament.
Good payout for the boys. Good job. Thank you for a good report this week, Tommy. We're going to go and take a look at those strike zone northeast hotspots. Tommy says, look for the redfish inshore in the back of the creeks from Volano Bridge to Palm Valley on the early morning low water. And then offshore, guys, amberjack and 60 to 90 feet depths on wrecks from Flagler Beach down to Ponce Inlet.
All right, Rick. Well, the spawn is on in the Central East region, so let's go catch some memories with Captain Jim Russ. Go for it, Jim.
Well, I'll tell you what, snook action is incredibly good throughout the entire Central East region right now, and anglers need to get out there. The inlets and beaches are loaded with adult fish, and they're preparing to spawn, especially on the new and full moons this month, next month, and even into September. So, live baits are obviously best in the daytime, and then lip diving plugs, flare hawk jigs, or large plastic swim baits, like the 5-inch or 6-inch saltwater assassin sea shads. They offer, those are great offerings, especially if you're using them at night on the outgoing tides or in any kind of low light, dirty water condition. The snook, like I said, they're schooling fish. So if you hook one, there's usually a lot more hanging around. And our average line sider is running 28 to 38 inches right now. Not quite as big as it is at other times of the year, but we've got a lot of those smaller males who have kind of joined in the spawning and pre-spawning activity. Got a nice picture here of one that we caught in the river the other day. This is a 33-incher we pulled out from under some mangroves on a live pogie.
Nice.
Not too shabby. I like it.
Now, a redfish bite's still pretty good as well, and the Space Coast area anglers are having a blast catching these fish, even though it's really hot out here on these summer days. The Banana River is one place where the fish are staying cool by holding underneath the mangrove trees and residential docks and the residential canals. So look for slot-sized fish and even sight-castable fish in some of those edge areas where you come out of the deep water and get up into the shallow flats. That portion of the lagoon, for some reason, is staying relatively clear, and a lot of the other portions are starting to cloud up a little bit, so it's kind of interesting. The second place that you can find them is in the surf, Floridana Beach up to about Satellite Beach. Those fish are sitting right there in the trough, and use saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shads, and the copper juice, the magic grass, or the pilchard color are all working really well. And then the 5-inch Artemis shad in pilchard color is also doing pretty good because we have a lot of mullet that are starting to run up and down the surf right now. Now, the key to catching the redfish in the surf is to try to fish near some kind of a rocky structure or around a bait pod just outside the surf break. And then, inside, those fish are hanging, like I said, underneath those trees. I got a picture here of Captain David Glasser. He caught this, or his clients caught this, on a lime green Gulf dragon tail. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
And then swinging offshore, the dolphin bite has gotten really pretty good. It's interesting. The guys are catching dolphin while they're out there trying to catch. They're kind of mixed in with the king mackerel out on the 70 and 90 foot reefs. So, keep a spinning rod handy, cut baits, or some kind of a small bait that you can pitch to them as they come up around the boat. They'll also hit small trolling lures, live menhaden, or any kind of live pilchard if you're slow trolling for those king mackerel. The areas to the south of Canaveral have been holding better numbers of dolphin than to the north, but, they've got tails and the current flows and they can change overnight. So just be prepared anywhere in the Central East region that you could have dolphins swimming up to the boat. A lot of the guys that are bottom fishing are actually putting a float line out and picking up some dolphin on them as well. The average dolphin is running about 3.5 to about 7 pounds. Got a picture here that said Captain Sonny Richards from Sebastian of AA Charter sent me of a nice dolphin that came out of Sebastian the other day.
So nice.
And my last species is mangrove snapper. Overall, the anglers that I talked to that participated in the federal 2-day Atlantic Coast red snapper season said they did well, and most guys got their limits. However, what a lot of guys overlooked was there were some really big mangrove snapper out there as well, and you could chum them up. They were sometimes side by side with the red snapper, and these oversized mangroves are, they're hitting chunk menhaden, chunk grunts, any kind of chunk bait. It's kind of interesting. Those bigger fish like chunk baits better than they do live baits. You want to use a 30 to 40 pound test leader, and then, just enough weight, or even in some cases, if there's not a lot of current, no weight, and just let it drift back naturally, and then pick those fish up as they're eating those other baits out of the chum. Some of those fish are running 5 to 10 pounds, and there's a few kickers out there that are even bigger, and they should get really good on this next full moon phase. And then my last picture is of Chris Gillespie out of Ponce Inlet. This is a nice mangrove snapper that he got in 115 feet of water.
All right, Jim, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots from the Central East region. He says inshore, snook at all the inlets use live menhaden, croakers, or moharas near the jetty rocks. And then offshore, king mackerel on the middle portion of the Pelican Flats Reef. Slow troll, sardines, menhaden for fish up to 20 pounds. Brie, I was thinking about what he said. Yes. He said the mangroves were right there side by side with the red snappers. You know what's happening?
What?
Is they're eating chunks baits because they see the red snappers eating chunk bait and then coming back into the water. Because there's only a 2-day season on the East Coast. But guess what? The mangroves eat the chunk bait right in the damn cooler.
There you go. Boom. He was chomping at the bit to say that. He's like,
that's what's happening.
Something.
Those mangroves ain't too smart. Oh, see them snappers doing it, and we're doing it.
There's a snapper king right there. All right, if you're cruising around Florida, do it with a cause and rock the Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate. Your $25 goes straight to supporting clean water, restoring habitats, protecting marine life, and teaching folks about our coastal environment. Get yours at your local DMV or online at redfishtag.com and join the Redfish Tag family. I have one. You have one.
I do.
Everybody's getting one. All right, stay with us as we explore what the Panhandle region has to offer us this blazing hot weekend coming right up with Captain Pat Deneen. But before we go, come and be a part of our live studio audience shows like these fine folks have. You'll get to go behind the scenes, plus giveaways, and just a plain fun night out. We have 2 more left in the season, so go to our website, sign up for free, and we will see you soon.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Fenwick, feel everything. Phillips and Jordan, building critical infrastructure that matters. Castaway Coffee, one taste and you'll be hooked. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy, fishing for adventure. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, and Taco Marine, master the catch.
Today's Power Pole tip is certainly about the premium brand products that Power Pole has to offer. Now, over the last 25 years, they have certainly created some really cool products. The Charge comes to mind for me, and certainly it saves me a lot of time each day when I can just simply get home, plug in, and not have to worry about watching and maintaining my batteries between trips. The other thing that I think about is how easy it's made my job and my boating experience on a day-to-day basis when I'm actually using the shallow water anchors that they have to offer as well. remember this, when you're talking about buying a Power Pole product, you're supporting a Florida-based company right here in Tampa. And the thing that I also appreciate about them is how well their customer service and what they have to offer us. It certainly is the best in the industry, so keep that in mind. So on behalf of Power Pole, we want to thank you for supporting Power Pole over the last 25 years. And we also are looking forward to working with you with new products over the next 25 years. And if you have any questions, you can go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week.
Power Pole is just simply the best. All right, Pat, you're on cleanup duty in the Panhandle region, so tell us what we can look forward to on the water this weekend. Go for it.
Hey, Brie, I tell you what, as far as snook fishing, it's crazy. We say more and more of them than we have in the past, but we're not seeing enough to target them. But what we do have going on in a big way right now is a lot of hot weather, and with that hot weather, the triple tail fishing is hand in hand with the warm summer. Apalachicola Bay and the beaches of St. Vincent Island, St. George Islands is a place to be. And they're finding the triple tails on crab pots, nav markers, and floating debris, but also on the tide lines or free swimming outside the passes, especially on the falling tide. The best conditions are typically morning before the sea breezes pick up. You want to use a medium spinning tackle. You rig it with a float, 3 feet of 40-pound fluorocarbon leader, a good strong 2/0 to 4/0 circle hook, and bait it with either live shrimp or a small pogie or another bait fish. And the triple tails are running pretty good, 10 pounds or bigger right now, so there's some nice ones being caught. And there's a photo there. It's not a triple tail, but this is Linda Emmett from Panama City showing off a big snook that she caught this spring in St. Andrews Inlet there in Panama City, so it's fishing at the jetties.
Wow.
So we are seeing more and more of those line siders up here.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah, it is cool, Rick. Hopefully those keep on coming. But staying inshore, the blacktip sharks are numerous throughout the Panhandle beaches. Shell Island, Cape San Blas, the federal beaches between the Bar and Pensacola are being especially good right now. There's plenty of bait along the shores, and with that bait, lots of bluefish and ladyfish. And where you find those blues and ladyfish, you're going to definitely find the blacktip sharks and other coastal sharks. Pretty good fun on medium to heavy spinning tackle. You can fish them in so many different ways. A cut ladyfish is probably the best bait, but a live cigar minnow or a herring also make really good bait. And you can either set fish them, with a sinker on the bottom, a Carolina type of rig, or a sight cast at the cruising sharks are running 15 to 30 pounds. So that's a pretty fun time. Moving offshore, there's some good stuff going on around the elbow, the nipple, the 131 hole, the sailfish, and a few white marlins thrown in, but there's been some good numbers of billfish. There's a lot of bait schools. There's mid-water where you're going to find that bait. Sometimes you'll find it up on top, but pay attention to your bottom machine. Where you find that mid-water bait is where you want to hang out. The water's green, so don't look for the blue water. Look for that bait. Ballyhoos, cheesers, and dredges, pulled a nice mix of those. And like I said, it's mostly sailfish, but there are some white marlin in there, and even a blue marlin was hooked by Captain Jason Hallmark this week while they're out there fishing. So you never know. Finally, offshore. Oh, wait, there's a photo there.
Wait.
Yeah, you never know where you're going to find these sailfish. That's Kennedy BJ from Louisiana, and that's a sailfish she caught fishing right off the second sandbar, off of Panama City.
Goodness.
So no fences for sure.
That's crazy.
Wow, cool.
What a cool
pick, Pat.
Yeah, it's 15 feet of water. But finally, Rick, offshore, the king mackerel. We've had really good king mackerel fishing all summer. You're also going to find the kings around the bait school, and there's plenty of bait along the beaches of Destin and Walton County. So you can either troll in that 30, 40 foot of water off that second bar, or troll over some good bottom structure. Either natural or artificial bottoms. Cigar minnows, herrings, or on a stinger rig are pretty much the standard way to go about it. There's really a good grade of kings being caught with some nice smokers thrown in. Kind of like this one that Linda Emmett, again, she's getting some coverage. Nice king mackerel smoker she caught, I think, just 2 days ago fishing off of Panama City.
Man,
wow.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Pat. If you're finished, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Heroes on the Water hotspots from the Panhandle region. Pat says inshore, the big bull redfish under the 3 Mile Bridge at night, casting swim baits under the lights. And then offshore, sailfish and white marlin at the elbow and the 131 hole, trolling dink ballyhoos around the bait schools. What's with all the girls double dipping on pictures to this week?
Well, we're just catching them all. I don't know what else to
Use
say.
one of them, but you need to tell me what's going on here.
Okay. We're
right.
just catching them better than y'all. I don't know what else to tell you. But hey, we don't have snook, but we have triple tail. But here's also a picture of a snook. But we don't have sailfish, but here's a sailfish. I love it. All right, the reports are in and the snooking fun is about to begin. So load up your gear, head to the inlet or your favorite dock light and get ready for that infamous snook time. But wait a few more minutes and we'll be back with the species for next week. Next week, we are talking kingfish, so make sure to tune in. Dave's gonna have plenty of dip recipes.
Underrated, an underrated fish.
Underrated. We'll talk more about that next week. But before you hit the water, let's dive into Seize the Social, your best Florida fishing moments from the Gulf and the Glades to the Atlantic. Let's
Seize
check
it.
All right.
Let's seize it, yeah.
What you got?
Oh, see. What's that?
Uh-oh.
Dave, what's that? I believe we saw this thing crawling around ICAST.
That's the
world's
biggest,
largest worm.
largest worm on a Texas rig. You know what,
Dang,
Dave?
Brie.
If that dude will send me that, I'll get a Goliath grouper to eat that thing.
That would be
That
awesome.
would be crazy. Send a GoPro down, get it on camera. That would be the wildest bite ever. All right, remember, if you saw a fishing reel you'd like to share and be featured on Seize the Socials,
Seize it.
Scan the QR code or drop them in our DMs. But that is our show. We've had a wonderful live studio audience. Make sure if you want to become a part of this. Did everybody have fun? Oh, great, I love to hear it. You never know how the response is gonna go.
Plus,
It
you
is
get,
fun.
you get a lot of stuff. When
You do
come.
get stuff. We get a lot of
get a
stuff.
lot of stuff.
And Dave, we were at ICAST last week.
Yes.
We had so much fun. We saw so many new products, which is right up your alley.
Yes.
You know what my favorite one was?
What?
The Oreo cookie?
The Oreo Atlas Jack Plate Oreo cookie. Double stuffed, orange, white, and black. But I have one I was gonna eat, but it gets in my crooked teeth.
Then it
so I'm
makes
gonna
it black.
wait
Makes you
till
look like
after
you got
the
no
show's
teeth.
over. You know?
What else did we see at ICAST besides a cookie?
They have a
I
bunch
mean,
of great
some
stuff.
cool coolers.
And you'll be seeing it too.
How about
New
Bahio winning Eyeglass of the Year in the Eyeglass Court, the best of show for
Congratulations,
Eyeglass.
Bahio.
Way to go.
What a beast. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks Yamaha, Rodan. We'll see y'all next week. Go Texas.
Thinking of things.
I'm like, please don't say.